What's good with y'all, man? It's CT Hazy, and today we'll be breaking down the top 3 teams from Tier 2 in NBA 2K21 PlayNow Online. Who do y'all got at number 1, man? Do y'all think it's Ja Morant's Memphis Grizzlies? Or do y'all think it's the dynamic duo of Damian Lillard and CJ McCullum in Portland? Shoot, hey, we can't sleep on Big Zion in New Orleans. But before we get into the video, please consider dropping a like as it took me a while to make this. And if you're new to the channel and enjoy PlayNow Online content, please consider smashing that subscribe button as we are on the road to 200 subs. It's completely free and it'll mean the world to me. And lastly, if you want to come vibe with me and see me play live on Twitch, make sure you get there. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The link will be down below. Now without further ado, y'all, let's get right into the video. Alright, so how it's going to work is I'm going to go in order from number 3 all the way up to number 1. And for each team, I'm going to break down how I use them in terms of the 5-man lineup, and break them down individually in terms of strengths and weaknesses, and also strengths and weaknesses as a team as well. And a quick little disclaimer too, I'm not counting teams like the Brooklyn Nets or the Utah Jazz because those two teams for sure belong in Tier 1. They're only in Tier 2 right now currently in the game because of injuries such as James Harden being out for Brooklyn and Donovan Mitchell being out for the Utah Jazz. But I want to hear y'all thoughts. Comment down below, man. Who do y'all got in the top 3 before y'all hear mine? Alright, so at number 3 we have Orleans Trailblazers with Damian Lillard and CJ McCullum, man. So some of y'all might actually be surprised with this one. I know maybe some of y'all love this team and might have had them higher on your list and maybe even in Tier 1. But for me personally, they are number 3 on this list for me, and they are at the bottom for Tier 2, at least for me, in my opinion. Now, breaking down the 5-man lineup that I like to run with this team is, well, at the center position, I switch off between Kanter and Nurkic. So the only difference between the both of them is one is more offensive and one is more defensive, at least in my opinion. Kanter is a better defender and rebounder. Nurkic isn't bad as a rebounder and defender. But I just think Kanter has that slight edge over Nurkic in terms of defense. Moving on to the next guy is Norman Powell. I love Norman Powell. So each team that I use, I love to designate one shooter, the best shooter, and that designated shooter is the guy I run my plays for. Now, despite his lack of shooting badges, I know he only has 4, whereas CJ and Dame both have 16. I just love his release. For some reason, there's something about Norman Powell's release that's just green for me. And then next up, we have Robert Covington. I love Robert Covington on the defensive end. He is so nice on defense. He has a nice build as well. He's only listed as 6'7", but in this game, he looks a lot bigger than that. He looks like he could be 6'8", 6'9". I don't know if it's the hair or what it is, or his arms are dummy long, but he's just like a demon on the defensive end. So I like to run him and put him on the other team's best, their primary ball handler. So if, say, we're going up against the Warriors, I'll put him on Steph Curry and make him guard him full court to make it hell for Steph. And if you look at his defensive stats, the 2 main ones that I always look at for each player when I'm trying to learn or just figure out a new player is their perimeter defensive stat and their lateral quickness. He has an 83 at both, which is at a team high for this team. He has a lot of good badges for the defensive end on top of his size. And not only that, on the offensive end, he's solid. He's really basically a 3-and-D player. So all you really need him to do is stand in the corner and shoot threes. And then next up, we have CJ McCullum. I love CJ McCullum's dribble sigs. He has those Steph Curry dribble sigs. So he has that Curry slide, so you can really play make with him, create shots for others or even for himself. Now, the one biggest downfall, in my opinion, to CJ McCullum's offensive game in this game is his jump shot. It's smooth, don't get me wrong, but the problem is it's a slow load up. Like it just feels like it takes centuries in my opinion. Like I'm running off a screen and then I try to pull up and shoot a quick shot or a quick stop, and then I'll get a contested shot because although it was open for that second, his shot just slowed it down and gave his defender just enough time to close back out. But nonetheless, he has a nice spot up shot. If you run plays for him, or if he has a spot up shot and wherever on the court, it's usually knocked down. However, on the defensive end, CJ McCullum is suspect. I try to hide him and have him guard either their small forward or even power forward, just someone that's not primarily dominantly handling the ball. And last but not least, we have their best player, obviously, is Damian Lillard. Now, I love Damian Lillard in this game. He is tough going to the rack. Like, I don't know what it is. I feel like IRL, he don't be dunking like that, but in 2K, he be low-key yamming on dudes' heads and getting some nice contact dunks. It ain't nothing OD, but it's tough. Like, he'll surprise you. Like, I promise you, because he surprised me. Now, if you check his stats, he only has an 82 3 ball. However, he has solid badges. So if you look at his shooting badges, he has range extender on Hall of Fame, so he could shoot that thing from dumb far. And then the rest on gold are catch and shoot, clutch shooter, dead eye, difficult shots, green machine, hot start, hot zone hunter, ice and veins, pick and popper, pump fake maestro, slippery off ball, steady shooter, Tyler shooter, and volume shooter. So he has a lot of good badges in terms of shooting. Now on the offensive end as well, I run a lot of my offense through Dame, so he'll be the guy bringing the ball up obviously, but also doing a lot of the offensive playmaking. So I'll set a lot of screens for Damian Lillard to come off, and he'll either pull or get to the rack and create for others. Now overall as a team, this team is solid offensively. As a team overall, they can shoot the ball pretty decently. 1 through 3 can shoot. Covington's a little streaky, but he can get it done for you. And then obviously Nurkic can only shoot mid-range. Cantor, I haven't really tried shooting with him in the mid-range, so I'm not too sure about Cantor. So offensively, this team is fine. They're solid. They're really good. However, it's just on the defensive end that puts them lower, in my opinion. They're really suspect. The only dude that I could really depend on to guard his man and stay in front and contain is Robert Covington. So that's the main reason why I have this team at number 3 in terms of top 3 of tier 2. And at number 2, we have New Orleans Pelicans. I know some of y'all also might be surprised at this. Some of y'all might actually have this team at number 1 on tier 2. But it was a toss-up for me, man. The reason being, I don't want to spoil who number 1 is just yet, but let's go ahead and dive into this team and how I use them and strengths and weaknesses. And my 5-man lineup would consist of Bledsoe, Steven Adams, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson. Now for Steven Adams, he has a simple job. All he does on offense is set screens and roll to the cup and catch lobs. That's all he really will do, and on top of offensive rebounding. He really cannot shoot the ball. I would not try shooting any kind of shot outside of the paint with him, unless it's a dunk or a layup. And but on the defensive end, he is tough. He's solid. He has really good defensive ratings and stats and badges, so he will do fine for you guarding the other teams. Now moving on to Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball. These two guys have pretty similar stats and roles, at least for me. Looking at their defensive stats, Lonzo has an 86 perimeter defensive rating and an 86 lateral quickness, while Bledsoe has an 88 lateral quickness rating and an 86 perimeter defense. So they are damn near identical in terms of defensive stats. However, Lonzo Ball has a way bigger edge in my opinion, and it's because he has that 6'6" build, y'all. He's 6'6" while Bledsoe's only 6'1". So if you're playing a team like Steph Curry's team, the current Golden State Warriors, I would definitely put Lonzo Ball on Stephen Curry and make it hell for my opponent, and then put Bledsoe on their 2 guard. And then on the offensive end for Lonzo and Bledsoe, Lonzo is more of my playmaker. He'll come off of screens, maybe quick stop into a 3, or get all the way to the cup, or throw a lob or a kick out pass. Now for Bledsoe, his job is just to really stand in the corner and shoot wide open 3s and knock it down for you. And his release and 3-ball rating is actually not bad. If you look at his 3-point rating, it's an 80, which is solid, and he has a nice release. Like in 2K20 at least, it was knocked down. It was so smooth. This year is a little different. For some reason, I'm not as knocked down with it, but it'll still suffice for you. And then moving on to their second best player, which is Brandon Ingram. I love Brandon Ingram in this game. He's lengthy. He's 6'8". He has a nice build. He is actually my designated shooter. So if you like to run plays, I would run all your 3-point plays just for Brandon Ingram. Now, because this team is so nice on the defensive end, he actually guards like their 3rd or 4th best player. So basically, you're hiding him on defense on either the small forward or the power forward. So he won't have to do much because Lonzo and Bledsoe are up top guarding the 1 and the 2 and locking them up. And then lastly, you can do a lot with Brandon Ingram. You can have him bring the ball up, or you can have him setting the screen. And I like, whenever he sets a screen for me, I like to make him fade, because if they forget about him, he's knocked down at the 3-point line. His release is smooth. And last but not least, we have big Zion Williamson, man. So I like to run Zion at the 2. He is so tough to stop once he gets out on that break. Like, his dunk animations is OD. Now I like to do a lot with Zion. He has so many obviously finishing badges. He has 16 finishing badges, but the most important 2 are fast break finisher on Hoff and that Showtime, y'all. That gold Showtime is OD. Once you dunk enough enough dunks in with him, using him, once you get like 4 dunks with him in a matter of a couple minutes, you'll next thing you know, your whole team has takeover, which will just be tough for your opponent to even just see visually. Like, god damn, his whole team got to take over, basically, you know what I mean? So Zion can either bring the ball up for you and run pick and rolls with Steven Adams, or you can use Lonzo and bring the ball up with Lonzo and then have Zion set screens and roll with Zion. That is such a tough offense to stop, because Lonzo can still get to the cup, and then he has Zion rolling, so he can literally throw it up to Zion whenever you want. Now overall, the team is more of an opposite, in my opinion, to the Blazers team. This team on offense is okay. They're okay because the reason they are okay, in my opinion, is because they lack in shooting. So I don't really like shooting with Zion unless it's the end of a shot clock, and you already know Steven Adams can't shoot at all. So Brandon Ingram is like the only guy I can really depend on to shoot. So the floor spacing for this team isn't very good. They are very good at slashing and getting to the cup, but it's just hard getting threes. So if your opponent off balls, it's gonna be a little difficult on the offensive end if you don't know how to get to the cup. But however, defensively, this team is so tough, y'all. Like, they are one of the best defensive teams in this game, in my opinion. Like, they are well-rounded. From 1 through 5, they can all defend, with the exception of maybe Steven Adams stepping out into the perimeter. So obviously you wouldn't want Steven out there anyways in the first place, but 1 through 4, they can all guard outside on the perimeter. And yes, I know some of y'all might be surprised. Some of y'all would disagree with me or agree with me. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think. But we have at number 1 the Memphis Grizzlies, y'all. And hear me out, man. Hear me out. So ever since Jaren Jackson Jr. came back, this team has been even tougher to stop. So I like to have a lineup of Ja Morant, DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas. So let's start off with Jonas Valanciunas. I love Jonas Valanciunas because he can step out and shoot 3-ball, y'all. So he's not only limited to just picking and rolling, but he can pick and fade as a center. On top of that, if you run 5-out offense, he can stay in the corner and he will green shots for you. If you watch my Ja Morant gameplay, he was hitting 3s, y'all, and greening them. So he is tough. Even though he only has a 75 3-ball and he only has 3 shooting badges, he's still tough, y'all. He's still tough. Now next we have Jaren Jackson Jr. He has a really similar role to Jonas Valanciunas. He's just a little bit better than him. So he's listed as 6'11", same height as Jonas. However, Jaren Jackson just looks way bigger. If you look at his arms, y'all, his arms look like, his hands look like he can just grab his ankles. Like, it's OD, like how long his wingspan is in this game. On top of that, he has a better 3-ball, y'all. So his 3-ball is an 83 on top of his smooth release. I love Jaren Jackson Jr.'s release. So you can easily pick and fade with him. Do the same things you do with what I said with Jonas. Do that with Jaren Jackson Jr. You can pick and fade. You can have him stand in the corner and kick out to him and depend on him to shoot 3s, y'all. And not only that, on the defensive end, Jaren Jackson Jr. is so lengthy, like I said. So he's going to be in a lot of passing lanes and going to be sending a lot of shots into the stands. Now moving on next to my designated shooter, I ended up choosing DeAnthony Melton. I love his release. If you compare his perimeter defensive stat and lateral quickness stat to Grayson Allen, it's not even close, y'all. And also when he has takeover from Ja Morant going crazy on the offensive end, in terms of his Showtime dunks, it's OD. Like, he's gonna knock down every shot as soon as he gets that takeover from Ja. And then next up we have Kyle Anderson. The thing I love about Kyle Anderson is he's 6'9" and he has good defensive stats and badges, y'all. Like, it's not crazy like where it'll pop out at you like some Kawhi Leonard type stuff, but it's solid and will suffice. So I love putting him on the other team's primary player, and he's basically a 3-and-D player. So on offense, all you got to do is have him stand around, run around the 3-point line and kick out to him for open set shots from the 3-point line. And lastly, y'all, we have Ja Morant, man, their best player. He is the motor to this team's offense, y'all. All you gotta do is just speed glitch and run around screens with him and get to the cup, or whatever you gotta do to get to the cup, and just use that right stick and dunk everything. Like, I promise you, you're going to get at least one nasty poster each game with him. 2K really juiced up Ja Morant's contact dunk and finishing package. He has that one badge, y'all. Same thing like Zion. He's really similar, just obviously 6'3" instead of 6'7". He has that gold Showtime, y'all. So once you get 3 or 4 dunks with that right stick, say you leak out with him 3 or 4 times on a fast break and just get wide open dunks, next thing you know, your whole team's gonna have takeover. And I love when this team has that team takeover, because you have two guys that have sharp takeover, which is D'Anthony Melton and Jaren Jackson Jr. So those guys are just gonna be, it's just like you can't even help no more at that point once they all have takeover, because Ja Morant's either gonna dunk on the other team's head, or you can kick out to the two shooters. Now, overall, I think this team is number one when it comes to tier 2. And the reason being is just because, like I said, they're an overall solid, well-constructed team. I love teams that can not only play really good defense, but also space the floor on offense. And this team can really run a 5-out offense really well, because of the sheer fact that their two bigs can shoot the ball on top of having Ja Morant just go crazy with the rock. Let me know in the comments below, man. What do y'all think? Do y'all think I'm tripping, or was my top 3 pretty accurate? But alright then, y'all, that is gonna wrap up this video. I hope y'all dig it. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, as we are on the road to 200 subs. It's completely free and it'll mean the world to me. And as always, I appreciate every single one of y'all, and much love.